Okay, now I'm start recording. Okay.
Okay.
Now we continue with subsidiary company. The subsidiary company refer to the company established by other company with some
Thầy
condition.
ơi, thầy share màn hình lại đi ạ.
Okay, can you see it?
Yes, okay.
Okay, the subsidiary is company established by other company. For example, as I mentioned, the Singapore company established company in Vietnam. The Vietnamese company become the subsidiary. Of course, it depends on the Vietnamese law, because the Vietnamese enterprise is subsidiary or subordinate to the Singapore company. And suppose that the Vietnamese company continue to establish the enterprise in other country, like China or US. The company in US or China becomes to the subsidiary company of Vietnamese enterprise. And the subsidiary company is not only happen in other country, it also happen in one country like Vietnam. The Vietnamese companies in Hanoi can open as a company in Hai Phong province, Hai Phong city, for example. So the Hai Phong subsidiary company becomes the subsidiary for the Hanoi company. But you should distinguish between the subsidiary and the branches of the company. The branches is not subsidiary company. The subsidiary company separate from the first company, but the branches is not. Okay, keep in mind that subsidiary company is separate from the first company, but not for the branch. And you can find many other examples for who is a related person. The next definition is the manager of enterprise. This law explains who is manager, who has the power to govern the company, to make the direction to the company. Okay, who has the right to or power to the company. This one is the manager. So this law refers to some person like owner, chairman, director, for example. They are the manager of enterprise. The next is the member of a company. The member of a company. At first, the member company is a person, invest to the company. Or in terms of this law, it's referred to contribution or contribution capital. They invest the company and they become the member. So because they are the member, they have the right and obligation as the member of the company. Okay? Please distinguish that we call the member if this one refers to limited liability company or partnership, not for the shareholding company. The member of shareholding company or joint stock company is shareholder, not for the member. The member company only refer to limited liability company or partnership. Okay? This also refer to other definition, like what is reorganization of enterprise. So this one refers to division, separation, consolidation, merge, or conversion. So we have many ways for reorganization of enterprise. Okay. So this law also refers to many other definitions and very important, like what is foreign organization? What is a voting capital? The voting capital is very important definition. It's not, it is not capital contribution. You should distinguish between the voting capital and capital contribution. The capital contribution means it is a contribution to the company. But the voting capital means it is referred to the right to vote. So by the right to vote, you can make a decision for selecting the person or member or director or any other important person for the company, or make the right to vote in terms of general meeting of the company. So by making the vote with the voting capital right, so you can do the right as the manager, or the person have the right to manage within the meeting of the company. Okay. So please distinguish between the voting capital and capital contribution. Okay. Okay, Mr. Nguyễn Tuấn Anh. Mr. Nguyễn Tuấn Anh.
He's not here.
Not here. Mr. Vũ Nhật Quang.
Yes.
Okay. If I want to find the Vietnamese law, like the Vietnamese on enterprises, please tell me that where I can find it. Where can I find it?
The Vietnamese enterprise law.
The Vietnamese enterprise law or any other law of Vietnam. Where I can find it?
I think you can find it like in on online or in law book.
Okay, which website you can access to find? Okay, now please back to the website I show you on the first presentation. Okay, and find more information. We have both in English and in Vietnamese. We have many Vietnamese websites. For the National Assembly, for the government, for the MOG, the Ministry of Justice, and many other important websites. For both Vietnamese documents and the Vietnamese commentary. Okay, or even many other draft law like VIB online, or even for the public things. For example, for the court, you can find for publication of the court, Okay, but the first presentation I will show you both in Vietnamese and English. Okay. So now in the case of I want to define the law for the foreign investor. Can you see it on the screen? I want to find the law applied to foreign investor. Okay. Now define the law applied to foreign investor. Foreign investor. Define the law for the foreign investor. Mr. Nguyễn Đình Việt.
Can you repeat the question? I just hear that
Okay.
the foreign
Define the law. Okay. Define the law apply in the foreign investor. Okay, look at the number 21. It's been be careful. Okay. Define the law apply to foreign investor.
The about first we have to tell you what is the foreign investor. Is that the organization or individual who trust us? Define law.
Okay, I don't ask you for the question, what is foreign investor? I ask you for the applicable law. The applicable law for the foreign investor. Which law apply in the case of the foreign investor invest to Vietnam? Which law apply? Okay, the first law is foreign investor invest to Vietnam. The first law is
Luật chống bán phá giá đúng không ạ?
no. The anti-dumping is different.
Law
The
of investment.
anti-dumping refers to the case of in which sin is sell under the price, the market price. It's different.
Luật law of investment.
Okay, the first is law investment. Please keep in mind that in the case of the foreign investor invest to Vietnam, the first law is law and investment. But in the case of you want to define the forms of organization, for example, if the foreign investor want to establish enterprise in Vietnam, okay, the forms of enterprise follow to the law on the foreign on the law enterprises. If you want to follow the forms of enterprise, for example, if foreign investor want to establish the joint stock company, the limited liability company in Vietnam, okay. So this one to the refer to the forms under the law on enterprises. But the first law is law on investment. So the form of investment defined by the law on investment, but the form of enterprise on investment defined by the law on enterprises. Can you understand? Can you understand what I said? The form of investment defined by the law on investment, but the form of the enterprise. Okay? For the foreign investment in Vietnam, for example, defined by the law on enterprises. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, this law also defines the right of enterprises and the obligation of enterprises. And you can find more rights and obligation for member, for shareholder, for each of enterprise like NNC, partnership, or joint stock company. It's not only for the right of enterprise. You can find for the member, you can find for shareholder, you can find for the director, you can find for the chairman. Okay. So this article only for the right of enterprises. The first is they carry freely do the business activity, but not prohibited by the law. So in the case of the law makes the ban or prohibition, you cannot carry business activity, the business activity. The next is you can select the forms of enterprise or any other business activity, the forms of organization. You can choose partnership or NNC or joint stock company or many other forms of business activity. You can export or import. You can seek market. You can seek customer. You can sign contract. You can hire employee and many other things. Okay. This article set the right for enterprises. So for separate issues, you can find separate law. Okay, to govern. For example, in terms of organization, the form of organization, but for very specific organization, like insurance company, okay, we have separate law. It's law on business insurance. Under the law on business insurance, they set for the form of organization for business enterprise. Okay, in the case of concerning to market, but very specific market, okay, like security market. For example, we have the law on security to govern. The law on security to govern. In terms of the market for science and technology, the science and technology, we have the law on science and technology. Okay, it's separate law. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? The right of enterprise. The right enterprise refer to the market. Okay, this one refer to the market. So we have many other separate law for the market. For example, for security market, we have law on security. Okay, for the science and technology, we have the law on science and technology. For the market, on science and technology. For customer, for example, okay, you want to seek customer. So the customer refers to many things. Maybe the seller, maybe the buyer, maybe other person. So we have separate law, depend to the things or issues we involve. We have separate law to govern. You should distinguish between the customer and consumer. Okay? The customer and consumer. The consumer is a person related to your activity, related to your transaction, but they are which party? They are which party? The consumer is which party? So we have the law, and many other countries want today have the law to protect the consumer, not for the customer, okay? The consumer, but because they are the which party. So in terms of signing contract, okay, we have separate law for signing contract. The most important is civil code. Okay, we have separate chapter for how can we form the contract. How can you change the contract? Or how can you modify the contract? And how you can terminate the contract? So we have formation, modification, and termination of the contract. Let me repeat: formation, modification, and termination of the contract. The most important is the civil code. You also have the right for export and import. So we have separate law for export and import. Many other separate law. So one of the most important separate law for import and export is the law on tax on import and export. The tax on import and export is also a very important law. Because your enterprise, you have the right to recruit employee. But in the case of you want to recruit employee, it's not enterprise law. Okay, the enterprise law accept you the right to recruit employee if you are employer. But the law for governing, for recruiting, hiring, and employing the employee, it will be governed by the labor code. Do you remember labor code? Okay, the labor code will be applied in this case. Okay, and many other. For example, competition. The competition is very important, but you also obligation to carry the fair competition. The law prevent you or prohibit you to carry unfair competition activity. Okay, or even making complaint. In the case that we disagree, you sign a contract or something like that, you disagree. You have many situations in which you disagree. For example, you register for the company, but you disagree to the decision made by the management organ. You disagree, so it makes the complaint or denunciation, and you request to change. Okay, it's referred to law complaints and denunciation. You disagree to the decision, you ask to change. Okay, by state management or legal proceeding. What does it mean for legal proceeding? Very simple. In the case of you sign contract to enter into transaction, okay, but something wrong happened. You agree some article. Suppose that you are a seller. You sign the contract with the buyer, but the buyer not follow to the article of the contract. So in this case, you have the right, okay, to bring a lawsuit to the court against the buyer. Request buyer to pay the money. Request buyer to send back the goods or property. In the case if they don't follow to the obligation of the contract, you request them to follow. Okay, this is on the legal proceeding. We have many kinds of legal proceeding. For example, the litigation is referred to the court. The court carry proceeding to deal with the case, or arbitration. Arbitration is legal proceeding. Okay. And the obligation. Apart from the rights, the law also set obligation, and the enterprise owes the obligation. The first is justify the condition, the business condition. So the law set many kinds of business condition for registration, for investment, for state management. many kind of business condition, and the company owes the obligation to follow. Okay. Or, for example, in the case of registration or chain registration. For example, after registration, you want to change the name of the company, you want to change the capital of the company, we want to change the form of the company, for example. Okay, you must register the state management organ. Okay, so this one refers to obligation. The law require you to carry what? Carry registration, carry the registration to change the contents, the change the name of the company, the change the capital of the company, for example. Okay. Okay. So we have many documents for the company should be kept because this one is very important. The first is charter as a company. The charter of the company is most important because it is an agreement between the company and the member of the company. Okay, they set an agreement between them. So this one is very important. They set the right obligation, they set the structure, they set the right obligation of the company, of the director, of the member. How to change the company, okay? How can you transform the company? How can you change the capital of the company, the charter capital of the company? So this one is the most important. Apart from the charter, you can find more rules for the company, like rules on internal. You can find many other rules apart from the charter, many other rules for the internal management of the company. Okay, and many other important documents like the document for certifying ownership of the company, the minutes of meetings, the report of inspection of the company, the books of account. Okay, the company owes our company. Okay. The next very important to the company or enterprise is legal representative of the company. So the legal representative of the company is a person can represent for the company or on behalf of the company to do something, to sign contract, to carry the legal proceeding into a court, to carry the right obligation on behalf of the company. Okay, go to the bank, go to credit institution, enter into the transaction, sign in a contract. Okay, enter into legal proceeding. Okay, he or she is legal representative of the company or enterprise. And the company, okay, of course it depends on the forms of enterprise. The enterprise may have one or more legal representative. Okay, this one refers to the limited liability company or joint stock company. The joint stock company is one or more legal representative of the company, and one of them must residing in Vietnam. Okay, one of them must residing in Vietnam. Okay, you can have two or more, or even one, but at least one of them residing in Vietnam. Okay. Any question? Any question?
Can you repeat that?
Repeat for what?
repeat about the
Legal
second
picture
and
enterprise.
third of Article 14.
Okay. The law says that the NNC and the joint stock company, okay, may have one or more legal relationship as a company. One or more, it means that only one or two or maybe more. And the law also requests that at least one of them, okay, resigning in Vietnam. So maybe you have two, but one of them in Vietnam. Very simple.
Okay.
The legal relationship of the NNC or just a company may be director or maybe chairman. It depends. Okay. And the charter is very important to keep in mind. Okay, the charter of the company will specify who, okay, is legal relationship of the enterprise. The charter of the company. Okay, so please look at the charter to define. Can you imagine? The law requires that the charter of the company will specify the number, the position, the right obligation. Okay. Okay, now look at the number 5. Can you see it? The authorized representative of the company. Okay. The authorized representative of the company. Okay, now look at this one. Full capacity for the Civil Act. Can you see it? Full capacity of the Civil Act. So the law enterprises require that they have the full capacity for the Civil Act. But what does it mean for the civil, for the full capacity? It defined by the Civil Code. Okay, full capacity or no capacity or limited capacity is defined by the Civil Code. So in the case I want to find what does it mean for the full capacity? How about the condition for the capacity? For the full capacity, look at the Civil Code. Okay. So understanding law on enterprises is not only look to law on enterprises. Okay. You should look to the Civil Code. You should look to specific law, like the insurance company, like credit institution. Okay, like Civil Code, or even, as I mentioned before, law on investment, for example. We have many law, and depend to the case, depend the situation. You set the law to apply. Okay. Now we move to very important part of enterprise. How can you establish enterprise? Okay, the chapter 2 of Vietnamese law refer to establishment enterprises. Okay, please keep in mind that this one is referred to Law Enterprises 2014 because I have no English version. Okay, for the 2020, so I use this one for explanation. Okay, it's very important to start by saying that the article 18 refers to the right to establish and contribute or purchase. So the law says that who can establish and who can manage. Maybe you can establish but not manage, and maybe you establish and manage the enterprise. Okay, so we have at least two situations: established but not managed, established and managed. Okay, but please look at the exception. The exception. Okay, the clause 2 of this article, the subsection of this article, refers to some exception. What does it mean for exception? The exception means who have no who cannot accepted by the law to establish a managed enterprise, who cannot carry this right. Okay, the law says that the state agency or armed forces using the state property or public property. So in the case of your state agency, you're using the public property, so we have no right to establish enterprise. Or in the case of your cadre or civil servant, okay, cadre or civil servant, it means that you work for the public organ, like you work for the National Assembly, you work for the government, you work for people committee, for example, you work for the court, for example. Okay, so you have no right, okay, to establish the company. Okay, the law prevent you to invest to the company, to establish the company. Okay, not for the invest. Okay, to establish and to manage enterprise. So you have no right to establish, you have no right to manage, but you can invest to the company. In the case you are cadre and civil servant, you have the right to invest to the company. Okay. In order to answer this question, look at number 3. Look at the number 3. The organization and individual have the right to contribute to the company. Contribute to the company. So in the case of your cadre or civil servant, you also have the right, but not establish, okay, or management of the company. You have the right to contribute. So 3 forms: establish, manage, and contribute. If you are not cadre civil servant, you have the right to establish and manage to the company. If you are cadre civil servant, you have no right to establish, no right to manage, but you have the right to contribute. Okay, can you imagine? So this article,
Yes.
okay, this article define who can establish, who can manage, and who can contribute to enterprise. Okay, any question? Before we have a short break, any question?
No.
Okay. If I have no question, we have 10 minutes short break. Okay. Okay, can you continue?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, the next is very important is maybe you should understand which contract or which transaction you can agree before enterprise registration. It means that in the case of carry business registration, maybe you can agree something to carry this one. For example, maybe you can agree to invest, maybe you can agree to make transportation, maybe you can agree to signing some kind of contract for capital, for making contribution for the capital. So this kind of contract maybe maybe make some validity, but maybe make some liability for the party. Liability for the party. What does it mean? You should keep in mind that the contract before the registration, not signed by the company, it's not signed by the enterprise, it's signed by the person or individual. So the liability in this case refers to the liability of individual before enterprise, not the right obligation of enterprise, because now we have no enterprise. Each of the individual can agree and sign in the contract and do something before the enterprise. So in this case, if you agree to do something before the enterprise, the law said that, the Vietnamese law said that they have jointly liability. Do you know jointly liability? The joint liabilities mean it's referred to situation in which, for example, A and B and C agree to do something. The joint liabilities mean in the case of A, B, C make a harmful to D. In this case, the D maybe ask or request A or B or C or all of them, paying the money, sending back the goods or any something like that. So the joint liability means it is the liability for both or all of them. D can ask A or B or C or all of them to pay the money. You should distinguish the joint liability and separate liability. The separate liability refers to liability for each of them. But joint liability refers to liability for all of them. So the contract before the company refers to liability of the person before the company. So it's not liability for the enterprise. It's liability for individual or organization. And the next is very important is, in the case of we want to open the company, we want to register for the company. What kind of our enterprise, what kind of the documents the law require you to follow? In this case, the law distinguish between the file for partnership, the file for NNC, and the file for joint stock company. Okay, now let's look for the first. The first is application file for partnership. For the partnership, the law requires the first is registration. You ask for registration. Okay, so in this case, you must fill in the registration form and send it to the registration organs. The next is the charter of partnership. Okay, it's the most important document for the partnership. List of the partner. For NNC, the charter of NNC. And for joint stock company, in the charter of joint stock company, if this one refers to list of partner, for the LLC is a list of member, and for the joint stock company it's a list of shareholder. It's a list of founding shareholder, not for the shareholder. It's the founding shareholder. Okay, founding shareholder. Why? Because the joint stock company have various kind of the member or the shareholder. Okay, because the kind of company to attract more and more capital to the company. That's why they set many kinds of the member of the company. So in this case, the law only require for listing the founding shareholder only. So listing between the joint stock company only the founding shareholder with the limited liability company member and the partnership only partner. Okay, so in the case that you want to open the company, okay, put the application file to registration organ. Okay, in Vietnam right now is a Department for Plan Investment, Department for Planning and Investment for registration. Okay, so the next question is, when the registration agency accept you for registration? Okay, when registration agency accept you for registration? The answer is, in the case of you accept all the requirement of the Article 2024. That's Article 24. You should give us under the Law Enterprises 2014, not for 2020. Okay, explaining under the 2014. Under Article 24, okay, you must have the name. You must have the address of the company. Okay, you must define the line of business activity. You must the capital. You must define the classes of share. The classes of share. If this one is joint stock company, okay, you must inform the registration address of the tax. If refer to paying the tax, okay, the number of employees, the number of employees, the number of member, okay, the signature of the member, the signature of the member, the name of the member, the permanent address of the member. Okay, you must define it under the registration of the company. Okay, let me repeat. You have the name, address, the line of business activity, the charter capital, the information on the tax, the employee, the name and signature of the employee, of the person involved, the classes of share. Okay. The next is also important in the charter. Let me back to this one. The content request for registration involves the name, address, and the charter capital of the company. And the charter capital of the company. So the law requires for registration for charter of the company. Why? Why? Because the charter of the company is very important, the most important to the company. They define the name and address of the company. They define the line of business of the company. They define the charter capital, the classes of share, the name of the partner, the name of the partnership, the name of the owner or member of the company, the name of the shareholder of the company, the founding shareholder of the company, and the right obligation for the member. Okay, the right obligation of the member. I refer to the member as zero. Maybe the member for the limited company, maybe for the partner. For the partnership, maybe the joint stock company for the shareholder to the joint stock company. Okay. So you must register the charter of the company. It's very important. It's very important. This one is the most important. You must base on the charter company to do anything to the company. Okay, and the charter company must follow the requirements of the law. Must follow the requirements of the law. Okay, they must adapt the criteria of the law. And after you have the charter capital, after you have the name of the company, after you have the address, after you decide to charter the company, and maybe more, okay, the law accept and give you the registration certificate if you adapt this thing. Okay, you have registration certificate if you adapt this thing. The first is the register line of business. Okay, it's not prohibited by the law. Okay, the list of business activity is okay under the law. The name of enterprise, you should give us the name of enterprise must follow the requirement of the law, not the name you want. Okay, it follows the requirement of the law. Valid application file. Valid application files mean you apply the file for registration, but the file for registration must follow the requirement of the law, and it must pay a fee. Why? You must pay a fee. This may refer to the registration fee because this one refer to public services, the public services. And if you carry and follow the public services, you must pay a fee. Okay? It's set by the law. You must pay a fee. You carry the legal proceeding to the court, you must pay a fee. Okay? You carry to the action for registration for the company, you must pay a fee. This one refers to public service, the public service. Okay, after you complete this thing, it's under the law on 2014. Okay, you have a registration certificate, and after you receive the registration certificate, okay, you can carry the business activity. It becomes a company, it becomes an enterprise, and you can carry the business activity after you receive the registration certificate. Okay, any question? Do you have any question?
No.
No? Okay. If you have no question, please tell me the example of the line of business activity. Tell me the example. Okay, Mr. Nguyễn Tuấn Anh, tell me the example of the line of business activity.
Dạ, của em thầy. Okay, so for in my opinion, the line of business is can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah. You know, the line of business is I can think of is like manufacturers
Okay.
of goods, like you know, like industrial manufacturers, some kind of food processing, or you know, the line of business can also be some kind of consulting of travel agencies, and this some kind of service, and also education. And I also think of some line of business that is prohibited from the business investment, is something like, you know, smuggling and some kind of you know, illegal activities, right?
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Very good answer. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We should keep in mind that the live business activity really many things. As you mentioned, maybe the agency, maybe tourists, manufacturing, any kind of services, selling the goods, for example. And the condition is not prohibited from the business investment. And the law may define the condition, whether live business activity or not. For example, in terms of real estate business activity, okay, the law set the condition to carry. In the case of image, you want to carry consultant services, the law requires you some condition, like certificate, for example, to carry. For example, if you want to make the consultant for accountant, for law, for example, the law requires you the certificate to carry. So we have some form of business activity follow to the registration, follow to certificate set by the law, and most of them is not. In fact, in the case of you want to change registration of enterprise, for example, you can carry business activity. Okay. In the way you carry the business activity, you found that maybe the name is not good for you. Maybe the capital is not enough to carry, so you want to change. In the case you want to change, some contents of enterprise registration must notify to business registration office. Okay, I say that some of them must inform. Some of them must inform, not all of them. Some of them must inform. For example, in the case of you change the line of business activity, you must inform. In the case of you change the founding shareholder, you must inform. Okay, the founding shareholder for the joint stock company, you must inform. But if you change other shareholder, no obligation. Okay, the law requires that change the line business, for example, the change the founding shareholder, for example, you owe obligation to inform. Okay. So in case of you change the partner, no. If you change the member, no. If you change other kind of shareholder, no. Okay. No. So only some cases the law requires you to notify. Okay. The next article and the next issue is very important is how you can contribute and what kind of properties you can invest to the company as capital. The law says that you can invest to company by Vietnamese đồng. by freely convertible foreign currency, by land use right, by IP rights, by technology. Okay, and others assets can be evaluated. You should give my that it is freely convertible foreign currency. Freely convertible. It's very easy convertible. Okay, it's not easy convertible. It's not become the asset of the company. The condition is freely convertible. Okay, you not contribute the land. Okay, only contribute the land use right. Land use right. Okay. So the important is the asset contributed to the company in many cases should be decided, should be valued in Vietnamese term. Okay, it's very important. So in the case you want to invest in the company, please keep in mind that it's not all kind of asset. It's only most of them, not all of them. And very important is it can be value. It can be value. It's very important. Okay. So the person want to invest in the company to enterprise like partnership, like NNC, joint stock company. Okay. Under this article, must define the value of the asset to contribute to the company. The value of the asset to contribute to the company. Okay. Because this is a requirement, the legal requirements. Okay. And the name. The name enterprise is very important, but you have many disputes. In fact, many disputes. Many kind of dispute concerning to the name enterprise. The article, this article, refer to the condition to the name enterprise. You should keep in mind it's a name enterprise under this law, not for the latest law. It's only for this law. This law define two components of the name. The first is the type of enterprise. The name of enterprise, okay, comprise the type enterprise. For example, limited liability company, okay, or sole proprietorships, or joint stock company. Okay, you must define the name. The type of the company and proper name. What does it mean for proper name? For example, the proper name refers to some kind of Bing company, for example. It is a proper name. Okay, it should be in most of cases refer to the Vietnamese alphabet and some letter in English combine numerals or symbol. Okay, the law accept all things. Vietnamese alphabet, some kind of letter in English, numeral or and symbols. So we will have two conditions: type of enterprise and proper name. Okay, should give by that two conditions: type of enterprise and proper name. So in the case of you not adapted one of them, okay, no name for the company. No name for the company. Okay, the law don't accept. Next is very important is a head office. The head office. The head office is a kind of is a way in which you carry the important activity at the company, for making decision, for carrying management at the company. Okay, the head of the business activity at the company office must within Vietnam. Must within Vietnam. Okay, and the law defines that it's very detailed. Okay, very detailed. House number, alley, lane, street, hamlet, commune, township, or many other things. It must be detailed. Must be detailed. Within Vietnam, must be detailed and place for contact. And that's why you have many things like telephones, facsimile, emails, or any other. Okay. So the head office is very important because it's where carries the main business activity. And the most important person, okay, reside here. Branches and regional office of the company. You should distribute in the branch and regional office of the company. Both of them are dependent. Both of them are dependent unit of the company. Okay, but branch carry the function of enterprise or some function of the company. Okay, the branch and regional office are dependent, but branch refer to function, but office refers to the acting of regional office, like display of goods, for example, for advertisement for company, not for the carry the function of enterprise. What does it mean? In the case that want to sign contract, for example, this company carry for tourism, for example. In the case of carry the kind of tourists, in this case, the branch of this company have the right to carry to tourist action. It means they carry the function of enterprise, but regional office is not. They carry some kind of act, not refer to the function of the company. In the case of they want to open the regional office, they can sign a contract for advertisement. They can sign a contract for decoration of the regional office, but not for the function of enterprise. Okay. Okay, it's very important to distinguish them. Only branch can carry the function of enterprise, not for regional office. Okay. So I think it is the most important information. The most important information for how can you register for the company. Let me repeat for the main idea. Okay, for the main idea. If you want to establish the company, if you want to open the company or enterprise, you must define first who can establish, contribute, or invest to the company. Invest to the company or enterprise. Some person can establish, can manage, but they can establish but not involved into the manage. They can manage and establish. They not establish, not manage, but contribute. Okay. And after you complete the contribution, establishment, for example, the law require you some requirements for establishment of the enterprise. Charter, name, address, the right obligation of the member, the right obligation of the manager of the company, the address of the company, the capital of the company, the charter capital of the company. After complete all of them, okay, after complete all of them, you send the application file, okay, to registration agency. And after you complete all the requirement for registration of the company or enterprise, the registration agency give you the registration certificate to accept that from now you have the right to carry the business activity. Okay, after you receive registration certificate. Okay, and after you become the enterprise, after you receive registration certificate, after become the enterprise, you have the right to carry the right and obligation. The right obligation of the enterprise. Okay, Article 8, Article 9, Article 9. Okay, after become the enterprise, you carry the right obligation. Okay, what does it mean? You have the right to enter into business activity. You have the right to choose the form of the company. You have the right to recruit employee. You have the right to carry export import activity. You have the right to seeking market and customer. You have the right to sign contract. You have the right to carry the legal proceeding. Okay, you have the right to make complaint and denunciation, and any other things. Okay, under the Article 7. Article 8 refers to obligation. Okay. Apart from the right, you have obligation. You carry the business activity, justify the business condition. You organize accounting, follow to the accounting. You owe the obligation to pay the tax. Okay. You owe the obligation to carry the business activity, follow to under the legal rights. And many other things. Okay. You owe the obligation to follow. Okay. So the established enterprise is very important to define that when you are enterprise, what kind of right obligation after you are enterprise. Okay, before enterprise, who are you? Before enterprise, who are you? What kind of obligation you owe before enterprise? Okay, what kind of contract before enterprise? Okay, in order to establish enterprise, what kind of registration you must carry, you must complete it to establish the enterprise. Okay. So any question? So any question for chapter 2, establishment enterprises? Any question?
Yeah. Who do you send the forms and paper to when you want to when you want to get the registration certificate?
Do you mean to see the form of certificate?
Who will give you the certificate, the registration
The certificate, the law requires the certificate should be kept in the head office of enterprise.
Không ạ. Ý em là tức là nếu như mà để nhận được cái certificate đấy thì mình phải đưa giấy tờ cho cơ quan nào để họ cung cấp ạ? Tức là cơ quan nào cấp cho mình cái đấy ạ?
Okay, I just mentioned before that it is Department of Land Investment. Department of Land Investment. In Vietnamese, Sở Kế hoạch và Đầu tư. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
We have 63 provinces, so we have 63 Department of Land Investment. So if you want to establish the enterprise, you must make the application file, send it to the Department of Land Investment to register. So this one they have the in the Department of Investment, they have the office for business registration. And this one has the full power. to make business registration. Okay. So the answer is Department on Planning Investment. And the office for business registration. In Vietnamese, phòng đăng ký kinh doanh. In Vietnamese. Okay. Of course, in the case of you want to register, many things happen. For example, in terms of I mentioned, it's referred to complaint, for example. Okay, this one. Complaint and denunciation. Okay. In case of disagree to the decision set by the registration agency, okay, you have the right to make complaint or denunciation. So under Vietnamese law, we have the law on complaint and the law on denunciation. In Vietnamese, luật khiếu nại, luật tố cáo in Vietnamese. Okay. So the law requires you to carry business activity, except you just carry business activity, but the law requires you to carry business registration. You must send the application to register, and you send it to Department of Planning Investment. Okay, you must certify the condition, and after you certify all condition, you receive registration certificate. After you receive registration certificate, you have the right to carry business activity. Okay, so that's why you should understand something happened before registration, what happened during registration, and what happened after registration. Okay, before registration is referred to contract. Before registration, business registration. During for registration, you must understand the procedure. Okay, what kind of procedure, what kind of condition to receive business registration, and after you receive business registration, how about your rights, your obligation, your activity to carry the business activity after it becomes an enterprise. Okay. Okay, any other question? Any other question? Any more questions?
No.
Okay. Okay. So the establishment enterprise is very important because after you complete this one, you have enterprise. So that's why in terms of establishment procedure, you must define who involved, who becomes a member, what kind of contribution capital, okay, how about the right obligation, how about the structure of the enterprise, how about the right obligation of enterprise, okay, who is director, who is manager, who is the chairman of the company. It's very important because who are the person to carry the activity of the company, to do something on behalf of the company. And that's why you must define them in terms of establishment of the enterprise. Okay. So I think it maybe it's most important thing for a chapter 2. Not all, Okay, most important, because we have many situations involved. The situation for established, situation for name, situation for principal place, situation for address, situation for capital, for contributed capital, situation for founding shareholder, situation for changing member, okay, situation for designing the changing of the capital, situation for value the Vietnamese đồng, situation for define the kind of property invest to the company, okay, situation for legal representative of the company, situation for manage the company, situation for who can contribute, who can establish, who can contribute to the company. Okay, many things. So that's why I said that it is the most important. Okay, not all. Now we continue with very detailed on each of the enterprise. Now we start with the NNC with 2 more members. The NNC with 2 more members. We have 2 kind of company, 2 kind of limited company. The first is a company with 2 more members, and the second is single member company. Okay, the second is single member company. The first is a company with 2 more members. Okay, what does it mean for 2 more members? 2 more members mean at least 2, not exceed 50. Not exceed 50. Okay, at least 2, not exceed 50. So it means that this one refers to 3 or 20 or 40 or 50, not 51. Okay, not exceed 50. So that's why this one is not maybe not large company. It's not large company. Maybe this one refer to joint stock company. At least 3 and no limitation for maximum. And that's why the joint stock company is very large company, maybe, but maybe not for NNC. Okay, the maximum is 50. And the next is very important. Very important. Okay, a member of enterprise of NNC with 2 more members only owe the liability to the debt and other property invested to the company only extend to the capital contribute to enterprise, only extend to the capital they contribute to the company. For example, they invest 1 billion Vietnamese đồng. Okay, the liability only extend to 1 billion Vietnamese đồng. Okay, only extend to. It's very important. So in the case that something wrong happen, you sign the contract. Okay, but something wrong happen, and maybe the harmful to the contract is 2 billion Vietnamese đồng. 2 billion Vietnamese đồng. So in this case, if you only invest 1 billion, you only pay 1 billion, not for 2 billions at all. So that's why the law said that only extend of the amount of capital contribute to enterprise. Okay. So we have 2 conditions to define what is a limited company with 2 more members. The first, okay, not exceed 50. The second, to the extent amount of capital contribute. Okay, and as I mentioned before, when you become the limited liability company, simple, after you receive registration certificate. What does it mean? It means that after you receive a registration certificate, you have the full capacity to carry business activity, and you have also the legal status, the legal entity status. The legal entity status means you have the full power to carry any kind of business activity if you have the right to carry. Okay, suppose that you carry, you register for tourists. Okay, so you have the right to carry and signing and enter in any transaction in terms of tourist activity. Okay. The Vietnamese law also define how you can invest to the company, how you can contribute to the company. And the problem is, if you invest to the company or if you contribute to the company, but suppose that you owe the obligation to invest 1 billion Vietnamese đồng, but only invest 300. What happened? Okay, simple. The law says that the member must contribute the contribution to the company in full. In full. Okay. In full within 90 days from issuing registration certificate. Okay, so you must contribute in full within 90 days. And in this case, you will not contribute in full and not within 90 days, you are not member more. Okay, not member more. Okay, please keep in mind that you owe the obligation to pay in full and within 90 days to keep membership. Okay. Okay. Now, okay. Now the next is very important is you should imagine the structure, the organization of the company. In the company. Okay. Now for the NNC, we have the member council. The member council. In Vietnamese, hội đồng thành viên. The chairman of the member council. In Vietnamese, chủ tịch hội đồng thành viên and the director. In Vietnamese, giám đốc or tổng giám đốc. Okay, now we have, let me repeat, member council, chairman of member council, and the director. Okay, the member council is the highest organ of the company. The chairman of member council is the person chair the meeting of member council, and that is the director is the person to carry the day-to-day business affairs of the company. Okay, the business affairs of the company. Okay, let me repeat. The member council is the highest organ of the company. The chairman of the member council is the person chair the meeting of the company. And the director is the person to carry the business, daily business affairs of the company. Okay, so three most important: member council, chairman, and director. Okay. Of course, the law also says that in the case we have more than 11, you have the inspection committee. Okay, but I want to only look at the member council, chairman, and the director. Okay. Now, let's look at the member council. The member council means it is a kind of organ contains or comprise a member company. It's highest organ of the company. Highest organ of the company. Making the highest decision of the company. Okay? Highest organ. Highest decision of the company. Okay, now how many members for NNC? How many members? How many members for NNC with 2 more members? How many? Okay. How many members? Well, I think it's a very easy questions. Okay. As I mentioned before. Okay, let's look back to this one. The little big company with 2 more members. Okay. Have not exceed 50. What does mean for not exceed 50? Not exceed 50 is mean 51 is not accepted. Not accepted. Okay. So in the case of NNC with 2 more members, in terms of organization and management structure, okay, the member council comprise all member, mean comprise from 2 or more, but not exceed 50. Okay. And why we say that is the highest organ or highest making decision? Because if you look at the right obligation of member council, you can imagine that this one is the most important right of the company. Okay. Annual business plan, statutory of the company. Okay. Increase or reduction of the charter capital. Okay. Make decision on the project for investment and development of the company. Okay. These things are the most important decision for the company. And that's why this one is the highest decision, highest organ of the company. Okay. Highest decision making authority of the company. Highest organ of the company. Let me repeat. Annual business plan, strategy, charter capital, project for investment, okay, and many other important. Or we have some kind of decision, some right, refer to structure. Now look at this one. The first is to elect, remove, or discharge the chairman of member council. Okay. This one is important because you have maybe you have some question on this real question on how can you elect, remove, or discharge the chairman of member council, or how much right obligation of the chairman of member council. Okay. Appointment, removal, dismissal, signing, or termination. Okay, of the contract of the director. So, appoint, remove, dismiss, sign, and terminate the contract for the director. Why in this case refer to the contract director? Because you have 2 ways to become the director. The first is director may be member of the company, or the director may be recruited via a labor contract to become the director of the company. So that's why maybe The member council has the right to terminate the contract of director. So, two important persons as a company decided by member council, chairman and director. Okay, chairman and director. The member council is highest decision authority of the company. They can remove chairman. They can remove director. Okay, and not only director, not only chairman. You can see as a manager at the company, like chief accountants. Okay, and many others, with stipulated in the chart of the company. Okay, now who is manager? Who is manager? Okay, Võ Hoàng Linh Chi. Who is manager of the company?
Thầy ơi, Mỹ đang là ưu tiên chủ sĩ.
Okay, now question for all of them, for all of you. Who is manager of the company? Okay, who is manager? Okay, now in the case I want to find the definition or terms of this law, where I can find it? I want to find the terms or definition under this law, where I can find it? Where I can find it?
In Article 4, this law.
Okay. The answer is under this law and under the Article 4, interpretation of the terms. Okay, Article 4. The Article 4 reviews the terms for explanation. Okay, so who is manager? The manager of enterprise maybe refers to the owners of sole proprietorship, maybe the partner, maybe the chairman, maybe the member of member council. Okay, maybe the director, and any other person in the charter of the company. Any other person in the charter of the company. So the chief accountant is the manager of enterprise. The chief accountant is the manager of enterprise. How do we think? Okay, how do we think? The chief accountant, okay, is the manager enterprise. Yes or not? Okay, who can answer this question? Whether the chief accountant is a manager of enterprise?
I think yes. I think it's maybe yes. if it is defined in the chapter of the company.
Okay, we have at least two conditions. At least two conditions. This is the person authorized, okay, to enter into the transaction of the company, and stipulated in the charter of the company. Okay, two conditions. We're not sure that this one is a holding management position, but we must decide that, okay, but we must decide that this one is authorized, this person is authorized to enter in the transaction, and this name, I mean for the position, set under the charter of the company. Okay, so two conditions, transaction and charter. So the chief accountant has the right to enter into the transaction, is authorized to enter into transaction with the company, maybe or maybe not. Okay, so it depends. Now, the next question refers to chairman, the vice chairman of the member council, the vice chairman of member council. Okay, is the manager of the enterprise, the vice chairman, and the vice director is manager. Okay, under this article, we say that is chairman of the company, is manager of the company. But this article not refer to the vice chairman or vice director. So he or she is the manager of the company, the vice chairman or vice director is the manager of the company. How do we think?
I'm sorry, but can you please give some example of the transaction of the company in the first condition?
Okay. Now the first is what is transaction? What is transaction?
Is I think it's like when transaction is like you deal with another company and then you sign a contract and then you the two company making business together, you know, you sell them something and they also give you something back. It's like that. Is that like that some
Yes.
kind of transaction?
Okay. Maybe you're right. But in terms of the law, okay, in terms of the law, at first you should imagine which law apply. So what is transaction under the law and what kind of applicable? How can define the documents? How can define documents apply for transaction? So what is the most important document for transaction?
Well, I think
Okay. Now, what is the most important document? What is the most important document for the full capacity of the Civil Act? What is the most important, okay, document for the full capacity of the Civil Act?
is it a contract?
I mean for who in the case you want to carry transaction, you want to sign contract, you want to enter in the kind of business activity or any kind of activity, civil activity. Okay,
Yes.
what is the most important document? You want to agree something by signing something, by agree something, maybe in writing, maybe oral, okay, maybe by conduct. What kind of the document apply? And what is the most important?
Is it the law applying into the contract?
Okay, now back into the first lesson. The first lesson refer to the civil law legal system. Do you remember? Some months ago. Okay, we studied the civil law legal system. Do you remember? And in terms of the civil law legal system, we study the civil law. We study the difference between the civil law and common law. We study the civil code, the structure of the civil code, how can you apply the civil code. You also study for legal profession. Okay, we also study the legal education. Okay, and blah blah blah. Now tell me, in the case that we want to enter into transaction, okay, what is the most important document? I mean, for the civil law country, the civil law country, what is the most important for transaction? You want to agree something, you want to sign contract, if you want to carry the civil act, what is the most important document? Simple, very, very simple. The answer is the civil code. The civil code. But of course, for the civil law legal system, I only tell you the main information. Only the main information on the structure of civil code rather than in detail. But I show you on the structure of civil code, and if you remember, the structure of civil code refer to the family for some country, or the family for obligation, okay, for the obligation for person. And in terms of for obligation, okay, the obligation is very important if you enter into transaction. And I give you the example for the Vietnamese structure of civil code, Louisiana structure civil code, French structure civil code, and Germany structure civil code, and many other examples like Chilean, like Austria civil code. Okay. Now, in terms of you want to carry transaction, the most important for the civil law system, the most important is the civil code. If you want to understand the capacity of the civil act of individual, for example, you must base on the civil code. If you want to understand how can you form transaction, how can you sign contract, how can you terminate the contract, look at the civil code. Look at the civil code. So the transaction is not only referred to the contract, it's also referred to some kind of acts, like single act. Single act. The single act is not the contract. The contract is agreement between at least two parties. The contract is agreement between at least two parties. Okay, but single act only come from one party. But the transaction refer to both contract, okay, and the single act. So the transaction of the company under the civil code refer to both contract and the single act by the company. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So my question refers not refer to chairman, it's refer to the vice chairman and vice director. Okay. This section refer to chairman and director, but my question refer to the vice chairman and vice director. Who is the manager? They are the manager of the company.
So I think they are not generally not the manager of the company, because I think that the one who make the decision for the transaction of the company, they are usually the the director or the chairman, not the vice director or vice chairman, unless the chairman or the director give them the permission to do so. But it usually depend on certain cases, not every all of the transaction of the company. So I think the vice chairman and the vice director, they are not usually the manager of the company.
Okay.
of the company.
Okay, so it's good answer. Okay, you're right if you say that the vice chairman, the vice director is not usually enter into transaction the company, because the vice chairman is not chairman. The power of the vice chairman or the vice director depends on the director or chairman. If the chairman or director, okay, generally assign the right to the vice chairman or the vice director, the vice person has the right to carry. So it depends on the right come from the chairman or director, which generated. And if you remember on civil code, the civil code gives you the situation in which, in the case of one person, because he or she is busy, it's not enter into transaction. In this case, they can give you the power of attorney. They give you the right or power to enter on the transaction on behalf of them, to carry business activity. Okay, you enter on behalf of them. In this case, you give the power of attorney. You have not the full power, but you have the power in case of they give you. Okay. For example, if the chairman or if the director give you the right to sign contract, you have no right to terminate contract. Can you imagine what I said? If director gives the vice director the right to sign contract, the vice director have no right to terminate contract. Okay, only the right to sign. Can you imagine?
Why that? Can you explain why?
Okay, we have not enough time to explain more. But if you look at the civil code, under the transaction, under the maybe the first chapter of civil code, explain to representative. Okay, we have legal representative of organization and the authorized representative of the organization. Okay, so the civil code gives you the way in which you can give the power in terms of the authorized representative of the company of the organization. Okay, in the case of you authorize the power, so which power you authorize will define the situation in which the person can enter. If you only authorize the right to sign contract, they only have the right to sign contract because they authorize to sign. Okay, in terms of the contract, you have many kinds of rights: the right to sign contract, the right to modify contract, the right to terminate contract, and many more, or liquidate contract. Okay, if you authorize to sign, okay, you have the right to sign. If you authorize to sign within 90 days, you only have the right within 90 days, not 91. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. So it depends, okay, on the way of authorization. on the time of authorization, on the power of authorization. So the vice chairman is not chairman, the vice director is not director. They have not the full power. Okay, they have not the full power. It depends on the authorization. Okay. Okay. Now, in terms of NNC, it's very important to imagine the right and obligation of the member as a member, because the member is the person to decide the most important issues of the company. With that said, that the member council is the highest organ of the company, of the NNC company. But the member council comprise all member, and that's why member is a very important person, because they have many rights, and they are important rights. The first right is attend. They attend the meeting. Okay. Apart from the right to attend, they have the right to discuss. They can attend without discussion, or they can attend and discuss. Okay. And the right to vote. Okay, they can attend, they can discuss, but not vote. It depends. They can attend, they can discuss, and they can vote. Okay, it depends, because they have the right. Because you have the right, you can carry your rights. Okay, or not carry your rights. If this one is obligation, okay. If this one is obligation, if this one is obligation, you follow the obligation because you cannot avoid the obligation. The law requires obligation means you must adapt the obligation. You must fully carry the obligation. But if you have the right, you can carry or not. If you have the right to attend, you can attend or not attend. If you have the right to discard, you can discard or not discard. If you have the right to vote, you can vote or not. It depends. So if this one is right, you can carry or not. Okay. So in fact, the power of the member council depends to the right of the member. Okay. And they have many other rights concerning to the most of them refer to the right to vote or contribution. Okay. The right to vote or contribution, because the right to vote refer to contribution. The more you invest to the company, the more right you have. Okay, the more contribution, the more right. Okay. Apart from the right, the member have obligation. They owe the obligation. The first obligation is contribute in full and in time. What does it mean in full? In full means you agree to pay 1 billion. You must pay 1 billion. What does it mean on time? On time means within 90 days. The law requires within 90 days mean you must invest or contribute within 90 days. Okay, so we also obligation to contribute in full and on time. Okay. What next? You also obligation, you are a member. You also obligation to comply with the charter. The charter set an obligation. The charter set a procedure. Okay, and many other important things you also obligation to follow. And because you are a member, okay, and decision may pass by majority vote. The majority vote. And that's why you also obligation to observe resolution, and decision as a member of council, because you are a member. You must base on the majority decision. as a member council. Okay. And remember, okay, if the director of the company, if the chairman of member council carries activity on behalf of the company under the charter, okay, the chairman or the director or many other manager of the company carries activity on behalf of the company set under the charter, okay, maybe no liability. The carry is in the name of the company, maybe no liability. But in the case of the member, carries activity, okay, but they use the name of the company. They are the person, they are individual, and also the member. They carry the activity in the name of the company. Okay, in this case, they carry the personal liability. Personal liability. What does it mean? The personal liability means in the case of you you breach the contract. Okay, you carry the contract, you sign the contract, you breach the contract. In this case, you not carry the obligation to be extended to something you invest in the company. It means that you invest 1 million, you pay 1 billion. No. In this case, you carry the personal liability. Mean you invest 1 billion. Okay. But you breach 2 billion. In this case, you must pay 2 billions. It means that 1 million for personal property is your property. Okay, 1 billion for your property, not 1 billion for the company. Okay, you must owe obligation, your obligation to pay 2 billion. It is personal liability. If you carry the act under the name of the company. Okay. Okay, now we back to the question for the structure of the company. As I mentioned, the structure of the company refer to member council, refer to the chairman, and refer to the director. Okay, now look at this one. The member comprise of member. The chairman is meant to chair. The man to chair. The chairman is meant to chair. What does it mean for the man to chair? The man to chair is person elected, okay, by the member council and chairs the meeting of member council. Okay, and he or she has the right to chair. Okay, now try imagine for what is the right to chair for member council or any kind of meeting of member council or any kind of meetings for other. If the chairman is meant to chair, the director is a person to direct. Okay, it means that they have the direction. He or she is a person gives the direction. Okay, direct to the company. Okay, give the company direction and ask the company to follow. Ask the company or request the company to follow. Okay, if the chairman is meant to chair, the director is meant to direct. So that's why we said director is a person carry the business, the daily business activity of the company. And the law, okay, and the law set the requirement and criteria for the chairman and director, who can become the chairman and who can become the director. Okay. Now, look at this one. The law says that the member council shall elect a member to become its chairman. The member council can elect, okay, can change or can remove the membership of chairman. It's not chairman anymore. In the case of the member council disagree, and the chairman maybe carries act as director, maybe. Okay, it depends. So as the chairman of the member council, the chairman have the right to carry something. Okay, now spend 1 minute, okay, to look at on the rights of chairman. Okay, the right obligation to prepare the program, prepare the agenda, prepare the document for the meetings. Okay, supervise the implementation of resolution, sign resolution to member council on behalf of member council, and very important. Okay, now look at this one. Preside over meeting. Preside over meeting. Okay, now we have one question. In this case, in the case of the meeting of member council become disorder. Okay, the meeting of member council become disorder. What happened? Okay, the meeting of member council become disorder. You cannot carry the order of the member council more. So how can we deal with? How can we deal with? Okay, my question refer to disorder. The meeting become disorder. What happened? So in this case, okay, the law give the right to chairman. The chairman has the right to preside over meeting. What does it mean? It means that in the case of the meeting become disorder, the chairman has the right to keep order for the meeting. Okay, in the case of you cannot keep the order of the meeting, you can change for the next meeting, change for the next meeting, not for that for the sixth meeting, to keep order. So the preside over meeting is very important right to keep the order for the member council. So the chairman have many rights, but this one is one of the most important right. Preside over meeting. Okay. Okay. Now we move to the director. If the chairman elected by member of council, the director, okay, is also decided by the member, but not by elected. It may be by many ways, and one of them refer to the contract. Maybe the member of council sign the contract to decide who is the director of the company. Okay, so if you want to fully understand who is director, okay, look at these things. The first, the director is the person carry the day-to-day business activity, and it is responsible to the member council. Responsible to member council. So it's a person carry the day-to-day business activity and responsible to member council. So that's why for any kind of business activity, daily business activity, is carried by the director. The director gives the decision to carry it on. And that's why the director can sign contract. That's why the director can decide it for some kind of changing. But it related to day-to-day business activity of the company and responsible to member council. What does it mean to responsible? The responsible to the member council means they owe the obligation to report and inform any kind of day-to-day business affair to member council. And the member council in some way can change the decision of director if they want. And what are the right obligations of director? The Vietnamese law decided in detail. Implementation of resolution, decision on all matters of day-to-day business operations, and very important, appoint, remove, discharge managerial position in the company, except for those within the authority of member council. So the member council decide for whom? We have chairman, we have director, but for other, it decided by the director. The head of office, for example, the head of personnel office, the head of human resources office, the head of business office, decided by the director. Okay, they can appoint, they can remove, they can discharge the position, management position, and the director has the right to recruit employee. Recruit employee, very important. Okay, this right decided under the Vietnamese law enterprise. Okay, what's the procedure to recruit employee decided by the labor code, not the law enterprise, not by the civil code. Okay, the procedure decided by the labor code. Okay, how can you recruit? How about the condition for recruiting? Okay, how about information for recruitment of employee? Decided, okay, by the labor code of Vietnam. Okay, so how about the criteria for the director? Okay, the law says that it's a full capacity for the civil act. The full capacity for the civil act. What does it mean? What does it mean? The full capacity means it's not fall into the no capacity or limited capacity. It must have full capacity. So how can you define the full capacity? The answers can be found on civil code. The civil code defined that what is full capacity? How about the criteria for the full capacity? And the civil code also decided the level of age in which you can enter into the transaction. What is the full age for transaction? Who can sign transaction? Who can enter transaction? It refers to the full capacity. We have three kinds of capacity: limited capacity, no capacity, and full capacity. Okay. And the law, the charter maybe require that the director have professional qualification and experience. Okay, it decided by the charter. So the criteria or condition to become director means that we have no specific requirement, no specific requirement in terms of the degree, no degree, okay, for director. Their bachelor, no. Their master, no. The law don't require any kind of degree for the director. But the law says that the charter maybe set the professional qualification or experience in business and administration of the company. And if the charters provided this thing, You owe the obligation to follow. Okay. And maybe the last one for today, but it's quite complicated. It's quite complicated. Okay, last thing for today, but quite complicated. It's a condition and procedure for conducting meeting of the member council. Okay, have you ever to look at the real charter of the company? The real charter of the company, have you ever looked at? It seems you are tired. It seems you are tired.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, it's a real charter. The example of real charter. Okay. Okay, it's name of founding shareholder. This one show you the nationality, the date of birth, the permanent address, the ID card, the plate, okay, and detail. Okay, now look at the Vietnamese name of the company. In Vietnamese, công ty cổ phần đầu tư và phát triển vận tải biển. Okay, so this one comprise the name of the company, okay, and proper name. Let me repeat the name of the company, okay.
Teacher,
And
please share the screen.
yes.
Please share your screen.
Use my screen. Okay. Can you see it?
No.
Okay, can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, it is a real charter. It's example of real charter. Okay. This one refer to real name, nationality, the date of birth, the place, and the permanent address. Okay. And the name of the company. Okay, if we follow to the requirement of Vietnamese law, it is the type of enterprise. This one refer to the type of enterprise. Okay, and this one refer to proper name. Proper name. The type of enterprise refer to this one. It is joint stock company. And the name of the company refer to this one. And even this one. Okay, the head of office is very detailed. The Vietnamese law requires that you must decide that this one is very detailed. The name of street, okay, the number of street, the name of the town, the name of district, the name of city. Okay, you must set in very detail. And the line of business, and the line of business. Okay, it's example of line of business for this company. Building, purchase, shipping, maritime activity, passenger transport. Okay. What does it mean for the line business or the name business? It means that in the case of you enter into the existing transaction, you can sign the transaction or contract, but only refer to this thing. Okay, if you register for this thing, you only sign the contract or carry transaction only within this thing. Only within this thing. Okay, not more. And in the case we sign the contract, okay, the transaction not fall into this thing. The contract is invalid. It's illegal contract. Okay. If you carry or sign a contract not fall into the main business, you register. It is invalid contract. Can you imagine? Okay. Any question? Are you tired? Are you tired?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. If you're tired, maybe I show you this. Maybe 10 minutes more. Okay. Already 10 minutes more. Now look at the legal representative. Okay, the Vietnamese law accept that maybe you have one or two legal representative, but you must register. It is a detailed information for this person. The next is detailed information for person for charter capital. It's related to shareholder, the joint stock company. Okay. It is the face value for the share. It is a total share, and this is the charter capital. Okay, it is each share. It is a total share, and it is total capital. Okay, can you see it? And in more detail. Okay, we have the total share they buy from the total the capital of the company. and the time they buy from the company. This one also decided for the right, I mentioned to you, it refer to the right of member. And this one refer to the right of shareholder. We have many kind of shareholder, and this one refer to the right of popular shareholder. Maybe you can define for the preferred shareholder or other. Okay, this one refer to popular shareholder. But for the NNC, it's not only one of member, and that's why we have only right of member. Okay, but for the shareholder, we have many kinds of shareholder. That's why I have many kinds of the right of shareholder. It depends, and many other article. It depends to your choice, your agreement. You should keep in mind that the charter is contract. Keep in mind that the charter is a contract. Okay. What does it mean for the contract? The contract means is an agreement between the company and the shareholder. Okay. And in the case of something wrong happen, you must base on the charter to deal with dispute. Okay. And in the case of you go to the arbitration or you go to the court, okay, the court or arbitration based on the charter to deal with dispute. Okay, the charter becomes the most important to deal with dispute in the case of dispute happen. And the charter differ from the law because the charter decided in very detail. The law give you the main information. Okay, but the charter is very detailed. Very detailed. Okay, the street, the name of street, the main business activity. Okay, the name of the legal representative, the charter capital. Okay, the kind of share, the popular share. It's very detailed. Okay, and you can agree more. How many charter, how many article, how many copy. Okay, it depends to your choice and your agreement. And that's why the charter differ from the law. It's more detailed compared to the law. Okay. Okay, now we back to the last to this slide. Okay, now concern to the governing to the law governing enterprises. It's not only as I mentioned before. It's not only refer to the enterprise. Okay, it's also refer to many other rights. For example, okay, for example, the law on business insurance, as I mentioned, refer to business insurance enterprise. The law on credit institution refer on credit institution. So in the case of you want to open credit institution, you must register to open this enterprise under this law on credit institution. Okay, if you want to open company as business insurance enterprise. You must base on this one first, and maybe based on law enterprise. Okay, depending. And for some ways, in the case of enterprise, refers to the main issues like the full capacity, like property. You want to decide what is property. Okay, what is individual? Who is individual? Okay, what is charter? You based on civil code. Okay, so you start in terms of the special enterprise. You start by looking the special law. After you apply special law, you apply law enterprise. And in the case of you want to define it, more information concerning to main information like capacity, like property, like charter, like organization. Okay, you based on the civil code of Vietnam. Okay. Okay. Any question? Because it seems that you are tired. So I think that we maybe stop here. Any question?
No.
No? Okay. Okay, now last question. Last question. Tell me the other name of the law. Okay, tell me the other law. Apart from business insurance, constitution, tell me one more.
Law on investment.
The law on investment only on investment. It's refer to how can we invest. How about the form of investment? And the form of investment may be refer to enterprise or refer to the other form of investment and refer to registration of investment, not only refer to enterprise. Okay. So I think that is difficult question to you. Okay. The next presentation, the next lesson. Okay. Please define more. We think that maybe this one is a homework for you. Find the other laws concerning to enterprise, not only refer to business insurance or credit institution. Okay, 5 more. Okay.
Okay.
Can I have a question? Like we have to
Yes.
find more law which define the business of credit and insurance, right?
Do you mean to buy this one? It's very easy to find in website. I'm not sure we have a version in English, but it's very easy to find this one in Vietnamese. I'm not sure for the version English version, but as I know, we have the English version for both business insurance and credit institution.
Vâng ạ. Yes.
You can access the website of MOG, Ministry of Justice in Vietnam, to find more law concerning to the business activity and enterprise. Okay. On the website of government, if you access the website of government, access to the part is the legal documents, the normative legal documents. normative legal documents. Okay, in Vietnamese, văn bản quy phạm pháp luật. In Vietnamese. Okay.
Vâng ạ.
Okay. I hope to see you again. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Em chào thầy ạ.
Bye.
See you.
See you later.